Not necessarily by choice. I have seen Ice Age quite a few times. For some reason, it was always the DVD of choice when I was at school. When it was the last day of term, teachers couldn't be bothered to teach, so they'd stick on a DVD. It was either this or at Christmas time, Home Alone. So I've seen this, I don't know how many times, but I kind of got to the stage where I got sick of it and I didn't want to watch it. But then I realised that I mustn't have seen it all the way through in a good 15 plus years. And I thought it was about time that I watched it again. And no longer am I the moody teenager bored of doing crosswords and word searches on the last day of term while trying to not watch this for the millionth time. And instead, I watched it with as fresh a perspective as possible. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. I don't actually know how many of the sequels I've seen. I most certainly haven't seen them all. I might have seen the second. I feel like I've seen the third, but my memories of them are not very strong. And admittedly, my memories of the first Ice Age were not that strong either. I think I made an effort to block it out after being forced to watch it so much. So I didn't remember too much about it, but I did remember the overarching story, of course, and I have to say I enjoyed it considerably more than I was expecting, and I'm looking forward to watching the second one. This was released in 2002. It's directed by Chris Wedge and Carlos Saldana, and we have a great voice cast, including Denis Leary, Ray Romano, Cedric the Entertainer, Jack Black, Jane Krakowski voices a character, Tara Strong, really brilliant voice cast to name just a few. And the story, if you're unaware, is about several characters, a sloth and a woolly mammoth, and one of my favourites, a saber-toothed tiger, who are travelling to escape the dangers of the Ice Age, and they also have a child, a human child, a baby, who they're trying to deliver safely to some humans, and the various problems that they encounter along the way. And I won't go into too much more detail about the narrative because I don't want to spoil it. I do recommend it. It is a good film. I should point that out. It's not that I got a bit bored of it because it's boring, but when you're forced to watch the same film, the same DVD again and again, it might have been the same DVD. Maybe the school just had like 3 copies of this film or something and they just passed it around the teachers. I don't know, but either way, it's not the film's fault that I became bored with it, and I'm glad that enough time has passed for me to watch it with a relatively fresh perspective. And the story is really good. It's a nice adventure story, a nice journey story. Visually, it is stunning, and the characters are really likeable, which of course is really important for the journey. My personal favourites are Manny, the mammoth, and maybe that's slightly because I love the sound of Ray Romano's voice, and I also love Diego. And Diego is a really interesting, very well written character. They're all very well written, but I also love the animation of Diego. I just think he's absolutely beautiful. So the characters are great, the story is great. It flows really well. I don't think it's a funny film, and that's not to say it's dry and void of any humour, but it's not a film that I laugh out loud at, whereas I feel like some people do find it to be a very funny film, and if it's funny for you, that's fantastic. For me, it's not necessarily my kind of laugh out loud comedy, but there certainly are some decent moments in it, and it's a very moving story, and one that I definitely liked it a lot more than I used to, let's put it that way, and I'm really keen to see the sequel. I'm more keen to find out how they managed to get quite so many sequels out of this, because there are quite a lot of them. I don't know exactly how many, but there are a lot, and there are quite a few shorts, and I will definitely check out those shorts at some point. I don't know if I should watch all of the films before watching the shorts. Maybe I'll watch them all in order of release. If you have any thoughts on that, please feel free to share. The second one is Ice Age The Meltdown, which actually came 4 years later. I'm looking forward to checking that one out, but for now I'm happy to have rewatched Ice Age, and I can now say that I liked the film, because up until this point I could only really say it's a good film, but I don't want to watch it. But I did. It's on Disney Plus, and I'm pleased. I'm pleased I gave it another chance, because it is definitely a really entertaining film.